Well now, isn't it a funny thing, human nature? We hear tell of someone meeting their maker in a peculiar way and our ears perk right up. It's not that we're mean-spirited, not at all. It's more like a moth to a flame, a strange sort of pull. These stories, they're like whispers from the edge of common sense. They remind us that life can be a slippery fish, easy to lose hold of if you're not careful. Or sometimes, even if you are. It's a part of the great, grand, and sometimes goofy tapestry of existence. These tales of folks who checked out in ways that make you scratch your head and maybe chuckle, just a little. You see, the world is full of banana peels, both real and metaphorical. And every now and then, someone steps on one in a truly spectacular fashion. We're not talking about heroic departures or quiet goodbyes here. Oh no. We're diving headfirst into the land of the oops and the what were they thinking? These are the chronicles of choices so questionable they become legends. It's the sort of thing that makes you wonder if fate has a rather mischievous sense of humor. These narratives, while ending sadly for the person involved, often carry a bizarre lesson or a surprising twist that keeps us talking for years. Now let's be clear, we're treading lightly here. Every life is precious, and every ending is a serious matter for someone. But when the circumstances are just so outlandishly odd, so unbelievably silly, you can't help but marvel at the sheer improbability of it all. It's like watching a cartoon character walk off a cliff only to realize, too late, that there's no ground beneath their feet. These are the stories that get passed around, the urban myths in the making, the cautionary tales that also serve as a kind of peculiar entertainment. So, buckle up, because we're about to explore some truly memorable exits. The aim here isn't to poke fun in a mean way. Heavens no, it's more about exploring that strange intersection where everyday life meets extraordinary bad luck, or sometimes extraordinarily poor judgment. Think of it as a collection of don't try this at home moments, magnified to the extreme. These accounts serve as a stark, if somewhat comical, reminder of our own vulnerabilities. They show us how quickly things can go sideways, often due to a single, seemingly small misstep. So, let's open the book on some of the silliest ways folks have ever said farewell. First up, let's talk about Mr. Gary Hoy. He was a lawyer in Toronto, a smart man by all accounts. His office was way up high in a skyscraper with big, strong windows. These windows were supposedly unbreakable. Gary, well, he liked to prove a point. He'd show visitors just how tough that glass was. He'd rear back and throw his shoulder into it. Boom! He'd bounce right off, no harm done. A real crowd pleaser, you might say. Until one day in 1993, he did it again. The glass didn't break. Oh no, the entire window frame popped out and Gary went with it. A tragic lesson in overconfidence, that one. Then there's the strange tale of old Chrysippus. He was a Greek philosopher, a thinker from way back in 207 BC. Now, philosophers are known for their deep thoughts, not usually for dying in a fit of giggles. But that's just what happened to Chrysippus, or so the story goes. He saw a donkey eating figs. That might not sound too funny to you or me, but for Chrysippus, it was apparently the peak of comedy. He laughed so hard, so uncontrollably, that he just expired. Imagine that, being tickled into the afterlife by a hungry donkey. Some folks say it was wine that did it, but the fig-eating donkey story is much better, isn't it? Next we have Mr. Clement Vallandigham, a lawyer and politician from Ohio back in 1871. This fellow was defending a man accused of murder. Clement's big idea was to show the jury how the victim might have accidentally shot himself. So in the courtroom, he grabbed a pistol he thought was unloaded. He aimed to reenact the supposed self-inflicted wound. He pulled the trigger. Turns out the pistol wasn't quite as empty as he believed. He shot himself right there in front of everyone. He proved his point all right, but he died doing it. His client, by the way, was acquitted. Talk about a dramatic closing argument. And who hasn't felt the urge to give a stubborn vending machine a good shake? Most times you might get your stuck candy bar or maybe just a sore hand. But sometimes these metal monoliths of snacks and sodas fight back. There have been a surprising number of cases where people, frustrated by a non-dispensing machine, have rocked it too vigorously. These machines are heavy, you see. They can topple over, and when they do, they can crush the person trying to liberate that bag of chips. It's a sad and rather undignified way to go, all for a missed treat. A reminder that patience is a virtue, especially with inanimate objects. Let's turn our attention to Mr. Basil Brown, a health food enthusiast from 1974. Basil was a firm believer in the power of carrots, and not just a few carrots here and there. Oh no, Basil went all in. He was drinking about a gallon of carrot juice every single day. He figured if a little was good, a lot must be fantastic. Unfortunately, he learned the hard way about too much of a good thing. He managed to give himself a fatal overdose of vitamin A. His skin reportedly turned a rather alarming shade of yellow-orange. A very colourful, if unfortunate, testament to the idea that moderation is key, even with vegetables. Then there's the curious case of David Grundman in 1982. David decided to engage in a bit of target practice out in the Arizona desert. His target of choice, a giant saguaro cactus. These aren't your small potted plants. These are towering desert kings, some 20 feet tall or more. David blasted away at the cactus with his shotgun. He managed to sever a large arm of the ancient plant, but the cactus, it seems, had the last laugh. The massive limb, weighing hundreds of pounds, toppled over and crushed poor David. It's a classic tale of man versus nature, where nature decidedly won. Consider the ambition of Franz Reichelt, the flying tailor. Back in 1912, Franz was convinced he had invented a wearable parachute suit. He was so sure of his creation that he decided to test it himself, and not from some small height, mind you. He chose the Eiffel Tower in Paris for his grand demonstration. Dressed in his rather bulky contraption, he climbed to the first platform. Despite warnings from onlookers and friends, he took a leap of faith. Sadly, his invention didn't so much parachute as plummet. A tragic end for a man who truly believed he could fly, captured on film for all to see. And for a truly hairy tale, we have Hans Steininger. He was the burgomaster or mayor of Braunau am Inn, Austria, way back in 1567. Hans was famous for one thing above all else: his incredibly long beard. It was over 4 feet long, a magnificent specimen. He usually kept it rolled up and tucked into a pocket, but one fateful day there was a fire in town. In the ensuing chaos and rush, Hans forgot to secure his beard. He tripped over his own facial hair, tumbled down a flight of stairs, and broke his neck. A man known for his impressive beard, undone by that very same feature. Let's not forget Mr. Jimmy Heselden, a British millionaire who owned the Segway company. Segways, those two-wheeled, self-balancing personal transporters, were his business. In 2010, Mr. Heselden was out for a ride on one of his rugged, off-road versions of the Segway. He was navigating a path near a cliff on his estate. In a terribly ironic twist, he lost control and rode the Segway right off that cliff. The very man who owned the company that made the machines met his end while using one. It's a stark reminder that even with innovative technology, accidents can happen in the most unexpected ways. And then there's the truly bizarre story of João Maria de Souza from Brazil. In 2013, Mr. de Souza was fast asleep in his bed, not doing anything risky, just enjoying a good night's rest. Suddenly a cow crashed through the roof of his house and landed right on top of him. Yes, a cow. Apparently the cow had wandered onto the roof of his hillside home from an adjacent higher piece of land. It's the kind of thing you'd never expect in a million years. A fatal encounter with a falling farm animal in your own bedroom. It just goes to show, sometimes danger comes from the most unpredictable directions. So why do these stories of silly send-offs grab our attention so much? Is it just a morbid fascination? Maybe a little bit, but I think it's also because they're so relatable in a strange way. We all make mistakes. We all have moments of poor judgment or just plain bad luck. These tales, as absurd as they are, remind us of our own humanity, our own fallibility. They're like extreme cautionary tales, showing what can happen when things go spectacularly wrong. It's that feeling of there, but for the grace of God go I, mixed with a dash of disbelief. Ultimately, these accounts, while humorous on the surface, carry a quiet lesson. Life is unpredictable. Common sense is a valuable commodity, and sometimes the universe just has a really peculiar sense of humor. Learning from the mistakes of others, even these outlandish ones, isn't a bad idea. It might just help us avoid becoming the subject of a similar tale ourselves. So keep your wits about you, look both ways before crossing the street, and maybe don't try to wrestle a vending machine. Stay safe out there, folks, and try to make your own story a long and sensible one.